As I've been introduced, I'm Loraine. I'm based in Coventry. I call myself a migrants' rights campaigner and an activist. So this poem is for all activists around the world. The poem is called I Was Not Born an Activist. There isn't one perfect single way of being an activist. It is not a vocation or a calling, but the primal human response of anger and outrage at the injustices being meted out on other people and the environment. For that reason, no one was born an activist. I was not born an activist. And there is no training school. Activism is an exhibition of passion and belief, which comes with an active demonstration of those feelings. There is street activism, characterized by marches, meetings, and protests I'm heavily involved in. I have the tools of the trade: banners, t-shirts, placards, and sometimes leaflets explaining what we are fighting for. Impromptu street addresses happen all the time, and during COVID restrictions, a megaphone was a veritable friend to send out the voice to the 2-meter distanced listeners. It is not restricted to the street. I have been involved in protest theater too, in which the burden of womanhood and the injustices of patriarchal and capitalist societies were the focal points. Activism requires a lot of energy. I have traveled the length and breadth of the UK, from attending reading sessions at vigils outside Birmingham Queen's Hospital, organized by Docs Not Cops and Patients Not Passports, to spoken word recitations on top of River Thames, or pickets alongside affected communities. Just yesterday, on the 15th of October 2023, I was at the Free Palestine rally in Coventry, which was part of a global movement against apartheid infrastructures, in this case, built by Israel. Some of the meeting invitations come at the last minute. Sometimes I arrive at a protest without knowing there was one planned. Being always prepared is a necessity. I almost always have my placards rolled up nicely for easy carriage and storage. And I remind friends to charge up batteries for megaphones. There's always, often, a protest on the go, fueled with rage and love. As for me, I carry some bit of writing all the time. I have been asked at so many occasions to recite a poem or two. The British government has attempted to criminalize protests and encourage people to perceive activists as disruptors of business and normal life. See how the recent gatherings blockaded the street near and to Heathrow Airport against its expansion. The rebels, as they are often called, decidedly sat on the road to prevent traffic passing where people who loved their neighborhood and wanted to protect its legacy. Think about the world we live in and how it has been shaped by the activists, even when it meant risking their own lives. Think also about how hypocritical it is to condemn activists and at the same time praise Nelson Mandela. Martin Luther King is a figure of hatred and fear, is now celebrated every year for the change he brought in the USA. Just for a moment, imagine, how long was it going to take women the right to vote in this country? A selfless death means that we now vote just like men. It is easy to take these things for granted, but this is my inspiration. A tiring activity for many nights of aching feet are the telltale signs of my fatigue. It doesn't come with the enumeration, and we need to look after ourselves and each other, or else we are prone to activism burnout. Thank you.